Hmm. Oh, I'm live. Okay. Well, um, somebody sent me a video from this guy, and I listened to that video 3 times, and it's a black gentleman, very articulate. Puts me in the mind of listening to early Malcolm X. And I'm not going to share the video because of what it promotes. And what it promotes is essentially prepare to fight physically and economically. The economic fight is one thing, but rioting accomplishes nothing. And I thank God that at the end of Malcolm X's days, he realized that. So I'm going to say a few things calmly and get to the point. I've said before, I don't post to please people. I post to share things that are relevant. I post information as I find it. I vet most of it. I do a lot of research, do a lot of studying. I'm a student of history and of the Bible. I follow Christ. I'm a patriot. The gentleman makes a lot of valid points, but he misses it when he talks about fighting back physically. Now, you all know, I'm not saying you don't defend yourselves. I've been saying defend yourselves and your property. That is our constitutional right. But taking to the streets to fight in order to be heard is not going to solve our problems. I often talk about mindset. So let me address the issue of Candace Owens directly, because somebody sent me a private message. Hey man, I want to know why you said such and such, a number of different questions that, a couple of questions that he asked me. And I said, go and watch the video and come back and ask me a valid question. Because basically I said no such thing. I don't know Candace Owens. But let me make something clear. And I explained this the other night. What you see happening today has been something that has been built up over a long period of time. After the 64 Civil Rights Act was passed and the 65 Voting Rights Act was passed, Jim Crow had died, and I call it the day of dogs, water hoses, and billy clubs. They needed a new system, and I'm speaking of the establishments of both parties, the deep state. With that being said, qualified immunity was born, which gives bad cops cover to do the things that they do and creates division. Because in this man's mind, okay, well, I kind of lost my connection. In this man's mind, the enemy, of course, is cops. And he doesn't make a distinction between good cops or bad cops. You've heard me say that if a bad cop is engaged in a lawless act, violating someone's civil rights, then, and there are cops standing around that are supposed to be good cops. I've said no good cops were present. That's what happened in Floyd's case. But first, let me get rid of this Candace Owens things. Candace Owens started making comments, essentially, the gist, Floyd is not a martyr, blah, 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 blah. Talking about his criminal background, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a damn? That is not the point. That is not the issue. But she is carrying water for certain people, especially some of the white people agreeing, because, see, she is being used to say what they really want to say. that his life really didn't matter. See, I understand people's mindset, and I pick up the subtlety in their comments. They won't say it, but they will let this young Negro female say it on their behalf, as though it's to say, because of his criminal lifestyle, his civil rights, his constitutional protections are not as important because of how he lives. Somebody brought up, well, I just keep thinking about how he pointed a gun at this pregnant woman. I don't know anything about that, and I really don't care. I really don't. I am concerned about what took place on the streets of Minneapolis. That is what is important. The wanton act of killing this man on the streets, the violation of his constitutional protections. That's all that matters. And nowhere have I said that he was a martyr, that he was, martyrs die for a particular cause. He didn't die for a cause. If there was a cause to be had in all of this, it would be citizens continuing to do what they have been doing, using their camera phones and exposing these bad elements within the police force to bring about the point where at the federal government level, they will say, you know what? We gave them this cover, this protection. It's time to take that away. We're getting rid of qualified immunity. It needs to go. Cops then will be more mindful of their actions, more apt to use friendly tactics versus antagonistic tactics. You pull somebody over. Hey, officer, why are you pulling me over? Tell him. What does it hurt you to tell him? Oh, yeah, well, it's some police procedure. Well, we have seen how all of this ends, what has been coming about. And still people think that it's about race. It is not about race. Black people, white people, female, children, are being killed by this bad rogue element that we have allowed to persist in our police forces. And that is what people are missing here. But there are those. See, I remember when I posted about those two racist bastards down there in Brunswick, Georgia. I saw the excuses. I saw people equivocating. And I know what's in their heart because they wanted it to be Aubrey's fault that he was hunted down and shot in the streets. But they can't openly say it because then they reveal their hands. So they look for other people to say it for them. And when Candace Owens got on her soapbox and started talking about Floyd's criminal record and nobody was making him, he's not a martyr, there may have been some that have said that. That may be the way that they mourned Floyd's death. But that ain't none of Candace Owens' business. None whatsoever. If that is how they want to portray him at the funeral, gold casket, whatever the heck it was that they had in his send-off, that is their business, not Candace Owens' business. And to give platform for these idiots who think that that is relevant in the grand scheme of this man's life being taken away from him, something is wrong. But you know what? That's what the system is designed to do. It is designed to divide people on such issues. Don't value the life of Floyd. Floyd was a criminal. Floyd was a meth head. His life is not, and I'm saying it. See, many of you come on my wall and you post, you don't see a lot of the things that I see in the private messages that I get from people saying some of the damnedest things that you ever want to hear. I see it and I watch and I pay attention. You aren't getting that, so you may not be privy to some of the things that I'm seeing and that I am reading. But there are people out there that are pawns for the system. This is what they do. The system is designed to keep us divided. And people, well, they just want to divide us. That no, we are already divided. And you will see more brothers like this man who made this video calling for rioting and violence, which is not what we need at this particular point in time. Not one point did he open up and say blacks ought to abandon the Democratic Party. That didn't even come out of his mouth. At least Malcolm X talked about the nature of the liberal, the white liberal. He at least called it out, but that didn't even come out of his mouth. So you will see more of that if you don't wise up and wake up. And those of you in the Republican Party, somebody made a comment. Let me explain something to you about the establishment of the Republican Party. Now, I have many friends in the Republican Party. I could name them that are white, that I love and I love dearly, and they know that. And I know there ain't a racist bone in their body. I know many white people like this. But when it comes to the establishment, please stop acting all high and mighty like we are all that above and beyond what the Democrats do. The Democrats wouldn't have done or accomplished all of the things that they have all of these years had they not had assistance from the other party, the other major party, and that is the establishment of the Republican Party. In 2014, when I ran, they had a campaign going because they were being called out for not being a party that was inclusive to everyone. So they started this little campaign. It was nothing but a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's exactly what it was. In 2016, I even got on the board, the committees for one of those. But understand something. That wasn't nothing but talk. And what the Republican Party, the establishment, does not like about me is I don't carry their water. And some of these white people that get on my wall expecting me to be one of those that's going to lick the boots of a bad cop or make excuses, I'm not the one. I will call it as I see it. And just because you are black doesn't make you my brother. Just because you are in the Republican Party doesn't mean that we are on the same team. If you don't stand for the Constitution for each and every single American in this country, you are not on my team. The only reason that I am running in the Republican Party in the state of Georgia, this is a red state, and the two-party system has a lock in probably 45 states, maybe 47. Vermont, they've got the independent up there, Bernie Sanders, the socialist who still runs under the Democratic wing when it came to him running for president. But I understand the corruption of the system and how it is set up to keep out people in the Libertarian Party, the Green Party, the Constitution Party, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, and by the way, when I was talking about the presidents that have had an opportunity to fix things, I said Bush daddy, 8 years, somebody felt the need to correct me. Sometimes I might make a misspeak, but trust me, I know it was only one term, so sue me when I make a mistake, when I'm talking to you about things. I tend to talk fast, but anyway, getting back on point, the Republican Party is not all of that. They don't give a damn at the establishment level about blacks or whites. When it comes to protecting us, do you think that if Rand Paul can have a 94% constitutional voting record and Thomas Massey can have a 99% one, that Doug Collins or David Perdue couldn't be up there in the 90s range as well? They don't give a damn about your constitutional protections. That's why they do what they do. They don't care. Just like the bad cop element. And the bad cop element is there for a reason, to keep us divided and fighting each other. So the Republican Party is not all of that. The only reason I won't run as a Democrat is because they removed the word God from their party platform, number one, back in 2012, and they support abortion. and same-sex marriage. Now, even though in the Republican Party, they claim that they are conservatives, standing on conservative principles, but trust me, when you look at their voting records, that is the farthest thing from the truth for 90% of them. Hell, Trey Gowdy has a 70% constitutional voting record when he was in office. What was he doing with the other 30%? These are the small things that people miss. And see, it's those small things when I see these white people come on my wall and make these comments about Aubrey. But why would he grab a gun? Have you ever had a gun pulled on you? Well, I have. Do you know what I did? I fought. Because there was no other way out of that room. I happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time visiting a friend. So I went and grabbed that doggone gun in an effort to save my life. And a police officer even made a video explaining the man was simply fighting for his life. You got 3 white folks hunting you down. 2 of them you see that are armed. 1 gets out of the truck and comes at you. The man fought for his life. But still, everybody want to bring up, well, there's a video of him over there in that house. Okay, so let's diminish the value of his life a little bit there. And he had been seen in the neighborhood going in and out of properties that were under construction. Okay, let's diminish the value of his life a little bit more. That's what they do. And when you see it, all I do is just shake my damn head. Yeah, I say my damn head because it was damned the moment that I read that damnable comment. What is wrong with people? I know I seem hard to a lot of folks. Man, but why are you so intense? The country is on fire. Damn, don't you get it? I understand where that brother is coming from. And his movement is going to be called How We Fight. I get it. Trust me, I get it. He did make one statement. I hold no party allegiance. We shouldn't be holding any. Man, well, that may be true. But you know what? Call the party out for what it is. I know I call mine out. I don't hold back. I'll tell you in a heartbeat. The Republican Party is just as bad at the establishment level as the Democrat Party. And if you think otherwise, you are sorely mistaken. Donald Trump is fighting against both parties, whether you understand that or not. Donald Trump is fighting against the deep state, whether you understand that or not. Donald Trump is fighting for every single American in this country to try and restore it. Because Donald Trump, a man that understands what it is to build something up yourself, and I'm not talking about going to Washington, D.C. as a politician, staying for 30 years and becoming a multimillionaire off of the backs of the people through special interests and all manner of other malfeasance. I'm talking about a man who actually worked and built his business. He understands that. And he saw that the way the country was going, nobody would have anything, not even self-made people like himself. And that's why he got in the fight. So while he may not call out the Republican Party for what it is, and I understand that it is not prudent to do so because he still needs those people to pass the laws, to put forth the legislation. But most of the work that this man has gotten done has been by way of negotiating deals with our trading partners and by way of executive orders. Not a whole lot of legislation has been able to get passed. They didn't repeal Obamacare. They had both the House and Senate when he got elected. Why didn't they repeal Obamacare? Because they didn't want to. They didn't want to. They're not going to want to get rid of qualified immunity. That will take away a valuable tool. If their tool is now in a position to be held accountable, we don't need more legislation against bad cops. And that's one of the things that this guy is calling for. No, get rid of qualified immunity. Let them put their butts on the line when they get out there and do things they aren't supposed to do. I wouldn't mind having a centralized database, a system of reporting their bad deeds so that you can go and look anytime and see what it is they've been up to. You know who they are. We probably need something like that. But The fact of the matter is, I want you closet racists to stay the hell off my wall. You know who I'm talking about. You want to apologize when an unarmed individual is shot and killed. You want to make apologies. Go somewhere else. I don't need you on my wall. I'm not carrying water for you. Just because I'm black and I am in the Republican Party does not mean that I'm on your side. I am a conservative, a Christian conservative first. And no, I didn't take a knee for Floyd because I don't need to. I only need to bow my knees to God. That's it. So I don't have to play all of those games. So I don't have to get on a soapbox like Candace Owens and make you feel good by talking about how much of a scumbag that Floyd was in his life. I don't need to do that because that is irrelevant. The man was deprived of his constitutional rights. That is all that matters. Because if they will do it to him, they will do it to you. And if we don't stop them now, if we don't get behind Donald Trump and try and help Donald Trump to fight them, hey man, I don't know what to tell you. I know Revelation talks about, brother against brother, father against son, all of that coming, but I don't think we're there. Somebody said China, 200 million are going to march out of the East. Well, they ain't marching over here to the United States. That much I can tell you. We are not there yet. We are still in this fight, and we've got a guy that's up there that's doing it. Our best allies are going to be God, are going to be wisdom. It's going to be knowledge of who the enemy is and how the enemy operates. And Trump, Donald Trump. Those are our best allies. That's it. Nothing else. And if you're thinking that it is the establishment party, I already told you about the lady telling me, yeah, well, whoever is the nominee, we all need to coalesce around him. The hell you say? Why would I coalesce around David Perdue, even if I'm not in that race, by the way? Why would I coalesce around him when this man has a 67% constitutional voting record? This man voted to renew FISA. Why the hell would I? Somebody sent me a message saying, hey, we want to promote you and another candidate and David Perdue. I say, no, you can leave me out because I don't want it to be construed that I support David Perdue in any way, shape, or form. I want to be clear. No, I'm not carrying your water. It ain't that important to me. Because see, what God has got for me, can't none of you take that away from me. And those of you that believe in God like I do, you understand my truth. Those of you that believe in the Constitution like I do, you understand my truth. And I think I'm going to shut up with that and call it a night. Y'all can keep doing what you're doing, but I don't care if you're upset about what I said about Candace Owens. She was dead ass wrong. And that's just it. She's carrying water for those racists who want to say it for themselves, but are too damn scared to say it themselves. T-Mot out.